Hey guys, it's Hybrid,
And this is the White Sheep.
and this is episode 50, the big 5-0 of Comic Book Versus, the bloodline of this channel.
Yes.
If you don't usually stay for the whole video, I know some people skip around different parts. I highly recommend you watch the whole video. Not only is this is blah blah blah. Not only is this our special 50th episode, but
It's also a really good matchup.
It is a good matchup, and also, at least when CJ gets to Doctor Doom, you're probably gonna have a lot of laughs.
Yes.
You might poop yourself from laughing.
A lot of you don't, like, if you're anything like me, you knew a little bit about Doctor Doom, but you didn't know really who Doctor Doom is, like, to the full extent. And in doing research for this matchup, we kind of discovered Doctor Doom is, one, the biggest dick in the Marvel Universe, and two, he's the most interesting man in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, honestly, if we didn't do our job, basically, if you don't finish watching this video bowing down to Doctor Doom.
Yes.
Like, honestly, like, even though the Fantastic Four movie shall not be mentioned
That wasn't
further
Doctor Doom.
than what I mentioned, you should just get, like, because they got the appearance of him down pretty well, so you should just get a model of him from the movie, just a physical model, and just bow to him.
Yes.
That's all Glorious Leader style.
That Doctor Doom he wasn't a dick, he was just an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
so there is a difference.
They ruined it when they took away the Glorious Leader part of him. That's what
They
ruined
did.
it.
They completely, like, they didn't mention it, and that's the most important aspect of his character to me, is the fact that he's like a dictator, president king, and he's almost like a god, even though he wouldn't want to say that, like, because he's actually quoted as saying that, you know, no gods can stand against him because, you know, he's so powerful. But yes, his real name is Victor Von Doom, and before I give you some background on who he is, I want to jump to his abilities. And let me break it down. Can we add a slow jam to this part while I break down his abilities? No, we're gonna put one in post. Okay. His abilities: he has a super genius intellect. One of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. He is a scientist, a master strategist, superhuman strength. He has superhuman durability. He's got the ability of flight, energy projection and manipulation, and he's also the glorious leader of Latveria.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he is essentially the Marvel Universe's Kim Jung-Un. And before you kick my ass for saying that and close this browser, here are 3 panels that illustrate why that is.
Punch effect, punch effect, punch effect.
They need more time to read.
Punch effect. Punch effect. Upper punch effect.
There we go. Okay, so at this point, I realize some of these things are from 60s Doctor Doom, which is kind of a stretch, but that's where the character originated. And that's kind of, just a little background. Doctor Doom was, you know, created in the 60s to be a nemesis for the Fantastic Four, and he was, before I get into his actual character history, the history of the publication of the character, he essentially was created to battle the Fantastic Four, and eventually, you know, they have to up the ante to make him, you know, sort of a credible threat, since they're going to kick his ass every week, and it just kind of increases in the way that eventually they realize down the road, they've made so many of these Fantastic Four comics, that they've actually accidentally made Victor Von Doom really, really OP. And we'll get into that when I do a full breakdown of his abilities. And then to counter that, they made him ridiculous. Like, he's really super OP, but he does things for really no reason. And, like, he never really has an overarching master plan, it seems. It's like he has little plans. Like, little plans. And that's kind of been a core thing throughout his character, and he really is only motivated by self-interest, which actually kind of fits with Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor, even though he has this whole humanity, like, is awesome thing, he kind of does things for his own misguided self-interest as well. But yes, Doctor Doom's actual character history is, as, you know, related in the comics. He was actually born in a gypsy camp. His mother died when she made a deal with Mephisto. And a lot of his, you know, adult life and even, I guess, his teenage years, his whole basically comic book run, his mother has affected him, his mother's death, to the point where one of his early meetings with the Fantastic Four was, you know, involving kind of projecting his mother's spirit into another dimension. And, oh yeah, if you didn't know, Doctor Doom is a magic user. That's one thing that a lot of media doesn't really focus on. Since it's interesting, he's a magic user. He spends all this time. He actually, I'm going to list off some of his scientific accomplishments later. But I will say, just to spoil one right now, he created a working time machine, went back in time, and got Morgan Le Fay to teach him her dark arts. And so he's an extremely powerful and accomplished magic user, even though he actually prefers his science, and he builds machines to replicate the magic, just so he can say that he's actually based on science, because his most powerful weapon is his mind.
Miss Van Dyne, I am not some common criminal that can be distracted by your prattling. You are nothing to Doom, and your pathetic attempts to play mind games with me amount to exactly less than nothing. So please, stop embarrassing yourself.
And essentially, like I said, his mother plays a big role in his life, and essentially he seeks to, throughout his whole life, he seeks to increase his knowledge of both science and magic to avenge the deaths of his parents, because his dad also died. He blames Mephisto for that. He's got a long history of screwing people over just for himself. His strength, 4 bars, while he's wearing his armor, which is another thing he created. It's really a lot like Lex Luthor's exosuit, but it was a titanium armor that was forged by these Tibetan monks for him to wear. Magically. It was magically forged, even though it's a scientific armor, and it grants him a host of abilities. And speed, it's 5 bars, it's supersonic, and of course, that's because of the armor and because of flight. But, you know, like I said, he would be a normal human being if he didn't have that. Intelligence, this is what takes the fucking cake. I am sorry. He is the smartest man, one of the smartest men in the Marvel Universe. And he uses it all for evil, pretty much. And that's... Lex Luthor is also incredibly intelligent, but this is just ridiculous. His most dangerous weapon is, of course, his intellect. He's one of the top mortal minds in the Marvel Universe. Doom has cured Ben Grimm. He has constructed a working time machine, devices which can imbue people with powers, many types of robots like the Doom bots. They look like him, they talk like him, they act like him, and they have artificial intelligence, so each one believes that they are him. Basically, Doom bots are like his little police force. And Doom specializes in physics, robotics, cybernetics, genetics, weapons technology, biochemistry, and time travel. And he's also he's a natural-born leader, a natural strategist, and he can use politics, and he's highly manipulative. His fighting, 2 bars, he's normal, but he also has 1 magic and 2 concussive blasts, which we will talk about now. Durability is first. And he is essentially invincible with his force field. And even if he wasn't, he would be 6 bars, but he's the full 7 bars because the force field really protects him from a lot of damage. But even if the force field was knocked down, the armor is still nigh impenetrable, so it would be really hard to beat him. His energy blasts, he's got 6 bars, which is multiple forms. Like I said, the concussive blasts, but also the magic use and all that really just puts him way over the top. And we could talk about that for a while, but the fact that he doesn't really like to use his magic makes it as like a last resort, because he tends to prefer to rely on science in the suit.
He's more ritualistic magic too, not really offensive magic.
Yes, his magic is typically, like Josh said, if you couldn't hear him, it's typically in the rituals. It's ritualistic more than it is offensive. Anyways, I'm gonna let Josh go right now, try to gather my thoughts, because I always just get excited when I talk about Dr. Doom, because he's just crazy. But anyways, here's Josh with Lex Luthor.
Lex Lord. I have Lex Luthor. Real name Alexander Luthor. His abilities: he has super genius intelligence. He's a brilliant scientist, master strategist. With the armor, his power suit or the war suit, depending on how you like to call it, it grants him superhuman strength, durability, flight, and energy projection. Now, Lex Luthor is considered in the top 5, at least, smartest beings. So he's very smart, and it's like Dr. Doom. You know, they're both brilliant, and as much as they can help the world, instead they usually use those abilities for not so beneficial reasons or just plain selfish reasons. He does have quite the vendetta against Superman. I think it's been phrased very appropriately by one person. I can't remember who it is, top of my head. I believe it was reverberated in All-Star Superman when they said,
"Next to Superman, even Lex Luthor's greatness is overshadowed."
Are you trying to intimidate me?
I'm trying to educate you. We all fall short in sickening, inhuman Feel that, Kent. Real muscle. Not the gift of alien biochemistry. The product of hard work.
I think he's very misunderstood in a sense where he cares about humanity more than I think people think. The stuff he does really is just against Superman. It's not against people in general. But his equipment is a power suit or war suit, like I said before. And let's move on to his stats. So his strength. His max it's 6 bars. His max is 100 tons. The suit he currently has is actually the 3rd suit he's made in New 52. The first one was incredibly bulky, think like double size of Iron Monger from the Iron Man 1 movie. The second one was a little bit bulkier, but not as bulky. It was actually pretty cool because it had some stuff in it. Basically, it had like a semi-hard light ability with his force field, and I'll explain more of that later on. But it was pretty cool. And then the third one, which we see here, is pretty much wannabe Iron Man suit. That's why I call it, because it looks a lot like the Iron Man suit, and it, you know, pretty simple, I guess, to put it in perspective for most people like that. Now, also, let me just get across now, Lex Luthor has never been beaten, per se, in the New 52 yet. I think if you guys read Forever Evil, that pretty much showed how Lex Luthor can pretty much pimp walk throughout the DC universe and win in the end. He's basically, he outsmarts everybody. That's what he does. His speed with his suit, it's supersonic, just like Dr. Doom. Nothing really per se special about that. Okay, his intelligence, he's a super genius. Just to put it really easily, he's usually considered the smartest person in the room. His only flaw with that is that he knows it, so usually he gets a bit carried away, but then he catches himself before anything bad could happen, and he outsmarts anyone anyways. The best, I guess, example of that, I mentioned Forever Evil earlier. Forever Evil, again. If you basically read that, that's Jeff Johns' love letter to Lex Luthor, it felt like, because Lex Luthor is pretty much the main character of that whole event. But yeah, basically Lex Luthor, smartest man you could think of. And, you know, usually the problem with that is that he uses it for personal gains and selfish reasons. And usually it's manipulative. So, example for Ted Kord, when he was trying to buy Kord Industries from him, or not from Ted Kord, but from Ted Kord's father, he really used his intelligence to really manipulate him before his death. And I don't want to spoil anything else, but Lex Luthor is a genius, a super genius. I think it's very well known, and just the fact that the things he's done, you know, like he's revolutionized technology, agriculture, etc., etc. in New 52, because basically LexCorp has a subsidiary in every single market you could think of. His fighting is normal. He usually relies on his power / war suit because of its energy capabilities. He doesn't really fist fight himself per se, and if he were to just regularly fist fight, he wouldn't do that well because usually he doesn't get his hands dirty in that capacity. Durability, just like Dr. Doom, he's pretty much invincible. I know a lot of people are probably like, wait, but his head's just exposed there and he's bald. I say that you make a very good point, but they've shown in the comics that he actually has a force field around him at all times, even extending outside of his suit. They showed that in Forever Evil also. Is pretty cool. But yes, his suit is practically, it's very, very durable, hard to destroy. It'd be 6 bars without the force field. But with the force field, you know, you're not going to really hit him at all, even his bald head. In energy, it's multiple. He can do stuff like electrical blasts, concussive blasts, basically any type of energy beam you could think of for the most part. Not every single type of energy, but most types. And it's pretty cool actually. His Mark II war suit could do something where it manipulated his force field energy into semi-hard light energy. So that's pretty cool, and that's pretty much a cut through anything. He said himself, and I quote, he could cut through Superman with one swipe, just completely cut through him, which is saying a lot because Superman's pretty durable, especially with his Kryptonian armor on. So that's pretty much it for Lex Luthor. CJ, I'll let you rebut anything I said before I bring out my X Factor and I rebut you and
Go ahead and bring out your
win
X
this.
Factor.
Okay,
I have nothing.
my X Factor is that after harmonic convergence, if you watch The Legend of Korra, you would know a few people got airbending. Now, I believe that Lex Luthor, as a bald-headed man, would receive this gift of airbending.
I think that's unfair. I think Dr. Doom also must be an airbender.
He would be a metal bender.
He would be a metal bender. Well, okay, according to the movie in 2004. But
well, actually, technically, according to the Fantastic Four movie, Dr. Doom is a firebender because he's separating his ki and doing the electricity, lightning.
It's okay, Josh.
blast.
It's
I'm gonna go cry now.
It's okay. Whenever he thinks about that movie, he cries. Essentially, to me, part of me wants to pull like what we did with Anti-Monitor and Galactus and just say, oh, they'd end up working together, but they wouldn't. They'd both just be...
They're too selfish.
Yes, they'd both just be trying to fuck each other over.
Like, honestly,
but,
even the Lasso of Truth, you know, Lex Luthor has recently joined the Justice League as of when we're recording this. And, you know, Wonder Woman used the Lasso of Truth to find out if he was really sincere about wanting to join. He was like, yeah, I want to help humanity. But, like...
technically, he wasn't lying. I mean,
yeah, he says he wanted to help humanity, but he still said, yeah, I'm still in it for myself, though. I don't care about you guys, really. So, you know, I think it would come down to a thing where Lex Luthor would, like, hit Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom would be like, diplomatic immunity.
And then Captain America would come beat Lex Luthor's ass.
And then Lex Luthor would outsmart Captain America. And then
Probably.
Tony Stark would come and Lex Luthor out. I think the only person really on par with Lex Luthor intelligence-wise, it'd be, like, in between Tony Stark and Reed Richards.
I think Dr. Doom is just as smart. Like, it's just in different fields.
I feel like they both are as smart because they use their intelligence, like I mentioned with Lex Luthor, mostly for manipulation more than anything else. Like, they're both, like, I'm sure you put them in an academic decathlon, they do great, but I'm sure, you know, in the heat of the moment, they just be manipulating each other to death.
Yeah, I feel like this would either go one of two ways. It'd be like a chess match where they both basically, like, do the whole Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows thing where they...
With Moriarty?
Yeah, more or less, like, plan out the fight and each other's moves until, like, somebody wins, even though it would probably take hours. Or two, it's just like a building competition. They're trying to build a machine that'll get around the other's force field. Or, you know, and honestly, I think there are two ways I see Doctor Doom winning. One is he uses the time machine to go back and make sure Lex Luthor was never born. Or two, he uses the magic and sets a trap or something like that. So, I mean, either way, I feel like the magic might be, even though it's ritualistic, I feel like the magic might be an edge because it's something that Lex Luthor just doesn't have. And it's something that Dr. Doom could technically use to his advantage.
Yeah, like, honestly, it's one of those things where...
It's close.
I feel like we actually did a really good job picking this one because they do mirror each other quite a bit.
Yes.
Like, it was hard to at first, but, you know, when you go under it, you know, to the core of the characters, they're brilliant, manipulative, narcissistic, I guess you could say. So...
Actually, no, I completely forgot. You know what Dr. Doom wins?
Why?
He rules his own country, fool.
I'm sure pretty much Lex Luthor runs his own country when you consider everything LexCorp has.
Corporate America, yes. But
He pretty much runs America, especially if he was president, runs his own country.
President Luthor. I've got to say, mentioning President Luthor, I do have a soft spot for Lex Luthor, as I have a huge, incredible, like, fanboy crush on Red Sun. It's my favorite graphic novel ever.
Waiting for Kevin Spacey.
I love it. I also have a huge fanboy man crush on Kevin Spacey because he's one of my favorite actors, if not my favorite actor. So you can roll the soundbite here. So there you go. That's that. Anyways, it's close, and it's up to you guys to decide who would win. Personally,
really is.
I'm still saying Dr. Doom. I feel like the magic and just the fact that he's a badass gives him the win.
I say Lex Luthor just because he pimp walks through the DC universe pretty much. Like, he hasn't faced anybody yet that actually challenges him. Everyone else has just pretty much been like an annoyance to him.
True.
And also, you know, I'm sure, you know, Lex Luthor or Dr. Doom would be like Doombot, you know, because he wouldn't want to like bother with it because he'd be like, oh, this is beneath me. And Lex Luthor would be like Bizarro clone.
Yeah.
And
Doom gets
go from there.
Doom gets like the worst rap in the Marvel universe because everyone's like, oh, he always loses. Well, he always loses because he's OP and he has to lose in ridiculous ways.
And then when he loses, he's never really him. It's just a Doombot.
Yeah, it's like, it's ridiculous. Anyways, I'm saying Dr. Doom still. You guys go ahead and comment below.
Yeah.
Who do you think would win, Dr. Doom or Lex Luthor? And note, if you're thinking straight up fist fight, I think you're gonna have a bad time because that would be pretty shitty. Like, neither of these guys know how to fight.
they're not boxing or anything like that. They're just gonna be doing energy stuff. Or I'd actually rather them just play chess. That would be a better fight. Like, if they do another crossover between Marvel and DC, I know people will probably be like, oh no, they're not fist fighting. You know, they don't need to. They're more brainy people than brawny people. So I'd rather them actually have a chess match Also, if Lex Luthor ends up destroying Dr. Doom in a chess match, Dr. Doom can't use diplomatic immunity and say, like, you know, declare war or something along those lines.
And then suddenly it's revealed that it was a Doombot all along.
It probably would, like, Lex Luthor would want to be like, error, Doombot, something like that.
It would explode.
But yes, this has been Comic Versus number 50.
Number 50. It's a big one. I remember when we started.
It's been a while.
Almost. Actually, it's been more than 2 years now. Probably 3 years, I think.
Yeah. Usually we ask you guys a question, I think, at the end of these videos. If you did listen to me, then you listened to this whole thing. So my question is, out of every matchup we've done, which one was your favorite and why? Also, which matchups would you like us to do in the future? Because while we do the rest of the season planned out and half of season 5 already planned out, and then beyond that, I'm not spoiling it because
there's some super secret special stuff.
Exactly. But yeah, comment below. You know, we've done obviously now 50 matchups, so there should be more than enough to choose from as your favorite. Even though there's still tons of more to come. Expect what we've already done. Not literally character-wise, but you know, in the concept of the characters. Remember, if you are going to suggest any ones, they have to be similar to each other, similar characters. They both have to be the same type of morality. By morality, I mean hero, villain, anti-hero, stuff like that. We can't have a hero versus villain thing. Also, have to be 2 different publishers. So there you go. But yeah, this has been Comic Versus number 50, 50.
The big one.
Vote for the Glorious Leader if you want the Glorious Leader. Vote for Kevin Spacey if you want Kevin Spacey. It's that simple.
Yep, there we go. All right, signing off. This is the White Sheep.
And this is Hybrid.
And we'll see you next time.
President. Do you know how much power I'd have to give up to be president? That's right, conspiracy buff. I spent $75 million on a fake presidential campaign. All just to tick Superman off.
Fatality.